Hi there, I'm Dr. Lon Schiffbauer, and today I want to talk about how to conduct peer evaluations. Ultimately, we want to help each other excel at what we love. How do we do this? Let's explore it. So, first of all, as we consider this, I want you to bear some things in mind. You want to really understand what is the purpose in providing this peer evaluation. Now, you could just say, you know what, I got to race through these areas of improvement. I need to berate the person. I need to point out areas in which they're, falling short and how they can improve and what the expectations are and what'll happen if they don't and so forth. Okay, fine. If that's what you're going to do, good luck. Or we can look at it as talking shop with a respected colleague. Remember, these are peer evaluations. You're not their boss, you're not their, higher up or anything like that. You're peers, and you both belong to a professional community of learning. And we want to approach this as us learning together and practicing continuous improvement as a community, okay? Furthermore, you really need to understand that we have, as a core need, a need for validation. We are constantly evaluating and scanning the environment for either validation or threats to our self-esteem or domains of self-worth. And we are looking for validation that we are on the right path. And so it's by validating what we're doing and then validating one another's desire to improve. It's by doing this that we're going to get the very best results. Remember, your coworkers are intrinsically motivated and experts in their field. They want to do well. That's why they're engaging in this peer evaluation with you. They want to continuously improve. That doesn't mean they want to be berated. They want to figure out where can they do better still. And so all of this means that calling into question their expertise or challenging their domain of self-worth will not have the desired outcome. Okay? It's not about managing people and management by exception and setting expectations and none of that. It's about us exploring personal and professional development together in a way that validates and supports our domain of self-worth. Okay, so with that in mind, let's start. Prepare before you evaluate, right? Your performance measures should be documented and available. So whatever measurements you're using, they should be the ones that are included in employee handbooks or in HR manuals or in professional guides or what have you. If you're working with peers in a professional environment, odds are there are some documented expectations on what makes an effective practitioner in this field versus what makes somebody who needs to improve in some areas. And so you want to really make sure that you're citing the true expectations of any particular professional field. You especially want to avoid subjective feedback that is not aligned with documented performance measures. Listen, you have opinions, I have opinions, we all have opinions, but opinions are like belly buttons. You know what? We've all got one, and at the end of the day, they're pretty useless. I want to know what the expectations are and how well am I meeting those expectations. So, before you observe somebody in a peer evaluation to perform that evaluation, make sure you know what you're looking for and what you're measuring. Next thing is, when you are delivering the evaluation, share best practices from credible sources. You really want to direct them to helpful and valuable resources that will, in fact, add value to whatever it is they're trying to do. Telling someone that they have opportunities for improvement, then offering them no resources by which they can realize those opportunities is not doing them any favors. I can't stress this enough. I like to be pointed out, hey, there's some opportunities to improve here and here. But then when I say, do you have any suggestions or any resources that I can avail myself of to improve in these areas? And you say, no, I don't know. Then it's like, okay, thanks, I guess, whatever. What I much rather is when somebody says, hey, you know what? I read a book on how to deliver this, that, and the other. I think you could really benefit from some of the ideas expressed in this book. Let me get you a copy. It will help you a great deal. All right, now I know where I can go to get the information I need to improve in my skill sets. You also want to share best practices from peers. I really like this one. Share what you have seen others do and the observed effect. Hey, I saw Christy do this and the students really responded well. Hey, I saw Bob do this and the customers responded really well. Remember, we are all part of a community of expert practitioners. We have a lot to offer and receive. It's another way of building this community of professionals. If we are helping one another, if we are learning from one another, if we are elevating our skills together, then we all benefit and the organization benefits. So, you know what? Let's help each other out and point out where others might have skills that we could really use in our own development. Now, regarding sharing your own best practices, absolutely, we can do this. But if you share your own practices, make sure they align with methods recommended by credible sources and cite those sources. So earlier I said, hey, we all have opinions. Well, I have some opinions about how to best do this, that, or the other. But my opinions would have more weight if I say, and you know what? Here are some sources that support what I'm offering you here. Avoid the implication that merely because they do it differently than you, they have areas for improvement. You really want to make sure that you're not saying, hey, well, when I was lead salesperson, or when I was teaching this class, or when I was managing the team, this is what I did. Well, okay, great. I get that you did it differently, but does different mean better? Not necessarily. So make sure you're cognizant of this as you're sharing your own best practices. Now, as you do all this, I recommend following the continue, stop, start model, right? As I say, better than a feedback sandwich with none of the fat. So let me explain a continue, stop, start model. The first thing you want to do is share with the person what they should continue doing. Truth is, they do a lot of things really well. I mean, that's why they work there. That's why they've been successful. That's why you continue to invest in them. So you want to point out things that worked well, that you admired, that you plan to share with others and even implement yourself. Now, be genuine, be authentic. Don't just blow smoke up their skirt or whatever, right? You want to really identify practices that you're kind of like, that's really cool. I think that's pretty nice. I think I might do that myself. And I know that Eric over here could improve in this area. I'm going to tell him what you did. And so Eric might come talk to you about how you exercise this particular skill. Okay, that's the continue side. The stop side is things that you think the person should probably stop doing. Things that, despite the best intentions, didn't seem to be working or are not aligned with effective practices. So, yes, I understand what you were trying to do in this. I'm not sure that the results were really what you were looking for. I kind of observed that maybe your customers were zoning out at this part in your presentation. I noticed that the students kind of, were texting when you started to talk about this topic and so forth. So I understand what you were trying to do. Let's look at some other ways to do this that may not lose your customers or lose your students, because your head's in the right place. I'm just not sure your practice was getting you to where you wanted to be. That's on the stop side. Finally, we have the start. Things the person should start doing. Things that would make their already good performance even better still. Think about this. It's how you couch your recommendations. If you say, hey, you're not doing this very well, try this instead. Okay, that diminishes their sense of self-worth. You're not validating their performance or their area of expertise by saying, you're not doing this very well, let's do better. On the other hand, if you say, hey, you know what? You're doing this pretty well, but I see opportunities where you can do it even better still. That validates their sense of self-worth. You're not threatening their domain of self-worth. And yet at the same time, you're offering them some advice that can take their performance higher still. So that's how you might frame the start side. All right? So there you go. I hope you found this useful. Go off and use these tips and tricks when you're doing your own peer evaluation. And until we talk again, have a fantastic day.